Welcome back to Beyond the Fantasy. A core purpose of this channel is to examine the historical realities that popular fantasy fiction often simplifies or ignores entirely. The authors we read present worlds, but they are frequently just pale reflections of the complex, and frankly, more interesting, historical truth. A perfect example is the very nature of nighttime in the Middle Ages. In much of fantasy, night is a simple narrative device, a shadowy backdrop for ambushes or clandestine meetings. But this depiction misses the profound structural and psychological impact that darkness had on medieval society. The end of daylight wasn't merely an inconvenience. It was a fundamental shift in reality that governed daily life. The communal practice of shutting in, where town gates and household doors and windows were closed and locked shut, was a response to this. But the fear wasn't just of thieves. There was a deep-seated social conviction that the night was not for honest people. Anyone found abroad after curfew was deemed a night walker, a legal and social category for criminals and deviants. Your simple presence in the dark cast you as untrustworthy. And patrolling that darkness were the Night Watch, men whose cries didn't just mark the lonely hours, but served as the first line of defense against the ever-present threat of fire. Furthermore, a prevailing scientific belief of the era was the danger of miasma. People held a genuine conviction that the night air itself was a toxic vapor rising from the earth, carrying plague and sickness. Shutting in wasn't just for security, it was a public health measure based on their understanding of medicine. This intersection of social control and scientific belief created a multi-layered reality of the night that is far more nuanced than a simple fear of monsters. Inside the home, life also followed a pattern unfamiliar to us and largely absent from fictional worlds. The standard model of rest was segmented sleep. A person would have a first sleep for several hours after dusk, followed by a waking period of 1 to 2 hours around midnight. This interval was not a restless tossing and turning. It was a useful and structured part of the day. It was a time for quiet chores, prayer, and reflection. Notably, it was also the time widely considered best for procreation. Contemporary medical and even monastic texts advised this period for marital relations, arguing that the couple was more rested and conception was more likely. This is the kind of intricate, human detail that fantasy world-building often lacks. The historical night was a complex tapestry of legitimate fear, social policing, scientific theory, the vital role of the watch, and private, structured life. When compared to this, the typical fantasy portrayal of a dark landscape with lurking dangers seems remarkably shallow. The reality, as is so often the case, was substantially more interesting.